Hi everybody. I'm gonna tie a Kebari from the Mino Gujo area. This is gonna be a Sakasa Kebari, a reverse hackle. So instead of the hackle sweeping back towards the hook bend, it's gonna sweep out over the eye. Traditionally, this fly was tied with stiff hackle, with a cock feather. I imagine they didn't have the beautiful genetic capes we have access to today, so I'm going to use just a cape from an Indian rooster. So, not something super high grade. It's a little softer, webbier. We'll see that in a second. This is a blind eye hook, gamakatsu size 8, and I'm just putting an eye on the hook using a little beading silk here. This is a little bit of a time-consuming process just to make this eye here and get everything in order and tied down. I think when most people think of reverse hackle Kebari or Sakasa Kebari, they think of soft hackles, hen pheasant or other soft hackles, hen pheasant probably being the predominant one. As you get more into learning about the Japanese flies, you see a lot of stiff hackle usage, and they have reverse hackle with both stiff and soft hackles. And they also have June, which is the swept back, kind of what we think of with a standard soft hackle. They also do that with rooster hackles as well, stiff hackles. So as I tied the beading cord back there, you saw I cut off one side earlier in the fly, wrapped over it, and then cut off the remainder further back just to kind of create a little bit of a taper in the body. I'm going to create a body on this fly using Zenmai. Zenmai is Japanese for the cotton that grows around a fiddlehead, which is like a shoot for a fern plant. You'll see them in the spring when the fiddleheads come up. They have like a wool almost, a cotton that kind of surrounds them, and if you harvest that, let it dry, and you get this material here, and it's a little challenging to dub, but once you sort of fluff it and pull it out, you get the hang of it as you practice. Everything is also easy to compress a little bit later with the thread once you get it kind of wrapped on the hook. So you can see there, I kind of, doesn't look so great, but once you rub it a little bit and wrap the thread over it, you can get it to be in the shape you want. So I'm just making a little head. So I'm sort of building this fly in reverse, head back. So this is very light colored, maybe even a cream Indian rooster cape. Not as dense fibers as a genetic hackle, not as uniform either. But I think that's kind of more like what probably the professional Tenkara anglers had access to in the mountains. They probably use feathers from the roosters that were in the farms and in the village. So I tied it so the shiny side, or the side that would face out to you, on the bird's back, that's facing towards the bend, and the part that would be down against the bird's skin is facing out towards that hook eye. Just put a little bit more of that Zenmai there. I'm just moving the thread behind the feather here, I'm going to take a couple wraps behind there just to move the thread down a little bit. And then some hackle pliers, and I'm going to wind this hackle on in a way where it, flows out over the head of the fly. So I'm just going to kind of keep brushing it a little bit. And rooster hackle, has a tendency to want to just stand up straight. And that's kind of your typical futsu. Kebari is just the straight up and down. But we're going to sweep it out over the eye. And then I'm gonna use some thread wraps and the dubbing to kind of push it out even a little bit more over the eye. And we'll see that coming up here. I like these Indian rooster capes because while they're stiff and don't collapse as much as a soft hackle, they are not as stiff as the genetic. So they do wiggle quite a bit in the water and give a lot of movement and a lot of animation, particularly in faster water. And by doing the reverse hackle, you get, if you do any sort of sasoi or pulsing or manipulations with the fly, you can really animate this a lot. And being a little bit softer than the genetic, not only will it make vibrations in the water that the fish can hear, but it'll actually pulse, it'll move, which is great. I also like the rooster hackles in a tight line sort of fishing method. It almost makes you it gives you the sensation of knowing exactly where the fly is, like it's gripping inside the water, and you kind of know where it is, even though you're fishing at subsurface. Kind of gives it, a lot of people like weighted flies for the same reason, bead heads and so forth, because they really kind of feel and know where they are. And that's kind of the same thing with using stiff hackle. You see that putting the Zenmai on there, and it was a little sloppy at first, but it's very spongy material, and you can smush it down, and you can really wrap it down with the thread and get it to form the shaped body you want. And there, behind the hackle, I wanted a fair amount of it to kind of push the hackle out over the eye and make it thick. And I'm trying to taper the body here, putting on a little bit of the Zenmai at a time, small amounts, just to get it to taper down. I think this will be the last little addition of this dubbing. The Zenmai is great. It's very buggy looking. I don't know. It just looks buggy, and the colors is just right. And people say it's very hard to see. People say that it holds a little bit of air, so it shows these little air pockets in it while it's around, which kind of mimics a lot of the aquatic insects and how they have these little air bubbles to bring them to the surface to emerge. And so you kind of mimic that. Just do a 3 or 4 turn whip finish there at the bend of the hook, and that's the fly. A little spin around, you can see how flaring the hackle out over the eye, not grotesquely so, but a little bit. And that's it. Thank you.